Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here. Welcome back to some more reviews, and welcome to my review on the newest horror film in theaters right now. The thing that everybody's talking about, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Now, this came out obviously, I think last week sometime, and it gets a 6.6 as of right now on IMDb, and was directed by Andre Ovidal, who's a director I'm kind of familiar with. A lot of his films I've heard of. I know he did The Autopsy of Jane Doe. It's a big one he did. He did Scary Stories Tell in the Dark. I haven't seen that yet. Didn't see Troll Hunter, although I know it gets a lot of good reviews. Future Murder I've heard about. Mortal. And this is his newest film. And this is a film that kind of came out of nowhere in the horror landscape. I mean, I remember like maybe 2 months ago, at most, just rumors on Instagram and Facebook of just, hey, there's this new Dracula movie coming out, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, we've had so many lame Dracula movies lately, like Dracula Untold. I know before that, Argento did a Dracula movie, and there's been like 2 other ones too that were just not good, basically. And then I seen the posters and some of the pictures, and immediately changed my mind, because finding out more and more information, knowing that it takes place on the Demeter, which of course is the ship that you see in all the Dracula movies and stories and everything, the whole movie takes place on the ship. Okay, that's interesting, getting to know the people on the ship, so it has a bit more impact to it, rather than just, oh, Dracula went on a ship and killed some people. We get to see their story in this film. I thought that was very, very interesting. And then, like, you know, pictures came out. I heard about the cast. I'm like, okay, great cast here. All right, good director. Okay, the posters look badass. And I liked the fact that Dracula looked like a creature. It was going to more of the bat-like Nosferatu combination of a creature. And I dug that, and I dug everything about it. It was such a cool, unique idea. And then the trailers came out, and I was impressed with the trailers, and it was all good signs, guys, because I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. This is up there with Talk to Me. This is up there with a couple other movies from this year. You know what? Honestly, it's starting to turn around this year for movies in general. Because today, actually, I got a cup that was like I went to the theater. It was a commemorative cup for the new Ninja Turtles film. So I got that, which was pretty cool. Sorry if that was loud. I just had to move my microphone. But that's another movie I really loved. Really enjoyed Oppenheimer. It's been just overall a great year for just movies. The horror genre is debatable, because I'm not looking forward to the new Exorcist or Saw or anything like that, but Talk to Me was good. This was good. The Boogeyman was okay. It was passable. But like I said, the story is basically you're seeing the Demeter, you're meeting the crew on the ship, you're seeing everybody's backstories, or really just knowing more about the characters on the ship and leading up to eventually, of course, Dracula escaping and massacring these people. But you get to know and you get introduced to a couple of characters here. You got Corey Hawkins, who's the Clemens character. He's sort of an educated guy. He's wanting to go to England, and he's going to take the Demeter there. He's going to be a medic on board and also help out around the ship. And basically, you already know the story. Dracula escapes and starts killing people, starts feeding, and day by day, night by night, more and more of the crew get picked off. And that's about as far as I want to get into it. As far as the review goes, I might spoil a few things, so if you're really worried about spoilers, which I recommend to go see this movie. I do care about spoilers and spoiling the film, because I do want you guys to go see this movie and go experience it. It's a pretty damn good movie for what it is. And so yeah, spoilers possibly ahead. We'll see what we get into here. But like I said, I really enjoyed this cast. I thought everybody in this cast did a good job. I thought all of the characters had their own little personality traits and were interesting. Even the quote-unquote side characters were different and not boring. They were all very unique. I think that there was a lot of times where it could have been seeming generic, but they took a lot of different steps with it, where there's actually a kid that gets killed in this movie. I did say spoiler alert, so just saying that. But there is a kid that gets killed in this movie, and I didn't expect that to happen. You got like animals being killed, pretty much all of the animals on board being killed. You have just a lot more blood and gore than I thought there was going to be, and honestly a lot more practical stuff. And I mean, it could have been shot on a green screen, but the key thing is I couldn't tell, and that's important. A lot of it looked like they shot it on a set, and that surprised me, because nowadays everything is green screen. And honestly, the trailers, there was a lot of CG with Dracula. Mainly that's the only CG effect, and I do kind of wish they could have been a bit more practical with it, because it's a cool looking design. It's creepy, it's eerie, he's bald, he's got the teeth, looking a little bit like Nosferatu. And he doesn't really say much throughout the movie. He says maybe 10 words at most, 5 words at the least. So you don't really hear a lot of Dracula talking, and it's different, and I appreciate that. Excuse me. I'm over here hiccuping because of how different it is, but I appreciate the fact that it's not Dracula with the cape and, the accent and I want to drink your blood, or, any of that. It's not being typical Dracula stuff. It's more of a creature feature film. He's this creature that's bat-like and very fast, razor-sharp claws and fangs, and he's slitting throats, and when he hits people, they fly across the ship, and bones break upon impact. And why I say I was surprised by the gore and blood and the violence in this movie is because it was distributed by DreamWorks. This is a DreamWorks horror film. And when I seen the trailer, that was the only thing in the trailer that I was worried about. I was like, oh no, this is DreamWorks. This is going to be a PG-13, just not bloody. I was honestly, that part, I was like, okay, the trailer looked pretty good, but this is just going to be a PG-13 generic horror film. And I was wrong. It's rated R, it's bloody, it's gory, it takes chances, it seems generic at times, but then, like I said, it becomes original. It does twists on what you expect from horror films nowadays. There are plenty of jump scares. Not a lot of them work, unfortunately. There are a few good ones, but most of them, if you've seen the Conjuring films, you've seen these jump scares. They're not super effective, not as effective as they could be, but they're there, They might get you. And like I said, it doesn't seem like they used a lot of CG in this movie. Most of it looked like it was shot on a set. The CG that was there was mainly on Dracula, and it didn't bother me, honestly. I could deal with it. It wasn't like the worst CG I've ever seen. It's just, you could tell there were enhancements here and there, or you could tell Dracula looked a little bit CG. Didn't bother me, though. It didn't upset me. It was just kind of noticeable. It's more of a whatever type of thing. At first, I was thinking it didn't really have much of a score, but as the movie goes along, when the score ramps up, I ended up loving the score. It was just missing a theme song. I think that's what it is. It's a decent score, but it needed that theme song. It's the Last Voyage of the Demeter. Make a song where it's the theme of the Demeter, where it's signature. That was the one thing it was missing, was a classic theme song, which a lot of movies today really don't focus on that. It's kind of an area in film that's been kind of forgotten. A lot of movies today really don't care about the music. They kind of get the same people over and over again to the music. But when the score ramps up, it gets really good. The action sequences, the fast pace, just editing, the scenes that are just multiple things going on at once, people working together on this ship despite really not liking each other at points, trying to figure out how they're going to survive this. I like how they build up Dracula as this imposing dark foe, because the whole movie they're building Dracula up like this is pure evil, it's the devil, and it's a really good build up. They sell the fear and the threat of Dracula very, very well in this movie. The design of Dracula is pretty cool. The blood and gore seemed pretty practical, surprisingly. Some good set design, some good direction by Andre Overdahl, and it's well edited. It's very good look to the movie. I don't know if this is necessarily the movie's fault, but the other thing I did notice is the movie is quite dim. There were times where a character would be sitting down in the darkness, and I couldn't tell what character it was because of how dark it was. Now, granted, I can't really say it's the movie's fault, because the theater I went to, it could have been that they didn't have the brightness up enough, so I don't know. I'll have to rewatch it again and see if I can notice it while I'm watching it here at home. And I also hope they release a steelbook of this movie, because I don't know what it is. It's such a random thought. I know, random. But I think a steelbook 4K of this movie would look so cool. Take the artwork they've already put out, plenty of awesome posters. Definitely some of the more better posters of the year in marketing is for this movie. So you take that stuff and you put it on a steelbook, I think it would look so beautiful. I'm definitely getting it on 4K as soon as I can. But yeah, I mean, it's got a good cast, good characters, not boring. It is almost 2 hours long. Did it necessarily need to be 2 hours long? 2 hours long, if I can talk. It worked for me. It didn't bother me. It wasn't like it was slow or boring or uninteresting. It was actually more engaging than I thought it would be, because this is one of those stories where it's a big risk to make a movie like this, because we already know what happened to Demeter. We already know that everybody on board died. And even at the beginning of the movie, they show people finding the boat all wrecked up and stuff. So it's like, this is a very daring movie, because you gotta build suspense while the audience already knows the outcome, which is like twice as hard, because at least with your mysterious of just not knowing what's going to happen to these people can make it more scary. But the fact that we know that the Demeter eventually is going to get destroyed and everything, it can go two ways. It can be predictable and non-scary, or it can be a looming threat and be suspense, because you know what's going to happen to these people, but you got to see how they get there, and that can add suspense. And I think it leans more towards that than the latter. I think it's used in the movie as an advantage, and the movie does build some pretty good suspense. I think all around it's a pretty solid horror film. It's very, very surprising. Definitely one of the more surprising horror films of the year. I definitely think it was better than The Boogeyman and stuff like Infinity Pool and Knock at the Cabin Door. I think it was way better than those movies. Yeah, it's creepy at times. The heavy rain, the night sky, the way they light everything is pretty cool. The usage of the lanterns as the lighting. I like the idea of when somebody's in trouble, they knock on the wall and it echoes to the entire ship. They kind of play around with that for a little bit. Yeah, overall, The Last Voyage of Demeter, I'm glad I went and seen it in theaters. It was pretty fun, pretty entertaining. It was suspenseful, it was gory, it was bloody, it was brutal. For a DreamWorks movie, this is pretty extreme and out there. Well, it's bloody and gory, but it's not like you're seeing guts and heads getting cut off and all that. But for what it is, it's pretty brutal. I like the ending, them fighting back against Dracula. I like how they set up a possible Dracula movie after this with one of the characters that survives. I kind of don't want to spoil that one, but someone does survive. I don't know if I really want to spoil that. But they do set up a pretty cool universe with this movie where, okay, you get this guy to make some Frankenstein movies and Invisible Man and Wolfman and Dracula, you tie them all in the same universe. This could be interesting because this is like very well directed and lit, and the effects are pulled off wonderfully. The CGI is pretty seamless. There's times where maybe you can tell a bit here and there, but for the most part, it works tremendously. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. It's a phenomenal newer horror film. It's fun. It's thrilling. It's got good character building, good lead, and Corey Hodgins' character, Clemens. He's a great lead. I like the Captain Elliot, Liam Cunningham. You also got just a great cast here of everybody else. So yeah, likable characters, good cast, good story. I think it pretty much checks out in all departments. It's not slow, it's not boring, it's interesting, it's engaging, it's entertaining. And that's, at the end of the day, all you can really get and hope to get from a movie. But anyways, y'all, 4 out of 5 from me. If you've seen this movie, comment down below and let me know your guys' thoughts on this film. But anyways, that's going to do it for today's review, guys. See you guys later. Tonight, I'm going to be doing some Night Insomnia. This might be up after that, so if it is, hope you guys enjoyed that. If it's not, then I'll see you guys there. But anyways, yeah, that's it for The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Great film. Go see it if you haven't. But anyways, y'all, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. And the Explorer of Horror is out. Peace, y'all.